Phoenix.
Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to the AndersonHouseHotel.com. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, light rain possible with a low of 38. Then Thursday, clearing skies with a high of 49. For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Before we get going here, I just want to quickly say that we've had a number of comments actually talking about last night's episode where we looked into the Zapruder film. And if you haven't had a listen to it yet, please do so. That was really fun to break it down. It was also fun to break down Orville Nix's film as well, which the original is gone missing for quite some time now. So if you want to check that out, go over to Spotify or go over to my YouTube page at Minnesota Ghostbox Official to be able to take part in the episodes. They were very, very interesting. And like we said, here we are. We are in November, and the anniversary is coming up. In fact, once we get into December, we're going to have David L. Sloan come back on the program. He just wrote a new book about JFK. We're going to talk about that in December as well. Halloween is fantastic. And for the past 3 years, we have done a very long live broadcast from a haunted location. We've been blessed that the 3 years we've done it at 3 different locations, one being the Grand Garage in Stillwater, the other being 300 Clifton. And just about a month ago, we were over at the Pillsbury Club, which is the new home to the Minneapolis Trolley Tours. And we did this incredible investigation. And what I want to do tonight is I want to talk about this investigation because last week, Char and I did an investigation as our monthly investigation of Divine Lights. We had people come out as a public investigation. And I just won't forget when I saw Char, she's just like, I'm still thinking about that investigation at the Pillsbury Club. And that really means that it was special. want to talk about it. And tonight, we're going to actually let Adam talk a little bit as well. We'll see if that was a mistake or not very soon. But the thing about that is, honestly, Adam was experiencing stuff at the station the whole night as well. These are great things to talk about because, they're two different locations. Is one feeding off the other in some way? Really want to get to it. Want to really talk about it. First off, in Eden Prairie, we have Adam, and this is going to be fun tonight, Adam. I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
It is going to be fun to break down because, not only were we there live, I listened back to it and rewatched the YouTube video as well. And even marking down all the things that didn't get called out on air, that ended up being quite expansive. And it was all around a fun night, especially here.
Now, and you bring up a good point, and this is another reason why that I want to have this conversation tonight, is because there was a lot of stuff happening that the cameras weren't picking up. That was happening to you, was happening to Char and Liz at the Pillsbury Club, and we want to talk about that as well. We got also with us, you may recognize her from such radio programs as, well, this one. We have Miss Char Savoie, who is the owner of Charvinity. And Char, welcome to GhostBox Radio. Nice to have you back on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always a great time to be here.
So let's just start with this. First of all, back in July, Chad and I had the opportunity of going out to the Pillsbury Club to meet up with John and Norman, who run the Minneapolis Trolley Tours. They also run the 300 Clifton. When we got in there, first of all, we were blown away by how beautiful this place was, but it was still a lot of work being done on the main floor, but they wanted to get it ready for their market. They wanted to get it ready to start doing tours from. And I remember telling both of you and showing both of you pictures about the inside of this place, which was incredible. Unfortunately, Adam has yet to step into the place itself, and we will fix that at some point because he needs to get in there and check it out. But Char, can you kind of let us know? I mean, you had been hearing about this place on Halloween. You step into the place for the first time. What were your initial thoughts going in?
It is so beyond beautiful. It is. The pictures didn't do it justice when you showed me pictures. No, it was just so amazing and so beautiful. And I was in awe. I was just like, where are we? Like, what happened?
Is this for real, right?
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. And John and Norman, what they did with 300 Clifton is beyond beautiful and phenomenal. And so I have no doubt that when they finish what they're doing over there, it's going to be just as wonderful. And just by looking at the first floor, by what they've already done, I don't have words for how it's going to look when it's done. It's beautiful.
Now, I don't remember if I said this to you or Liz or probably both. Like going down the stairs, especially because once they get going for the night, it's kind of a club atmosphere in a very tasteful way. They're pouring out energy, basically. They're creating energy. They're creating a vibe. I felt like sometimes walking down the stairs, having those chandeliers, having these lights that are, they're not intrusive, but they're there. It almost felt like a dream sequence, It just weird.
Totally. It's like, even like for like being a girl walking down this grand staircase, it's almost felt like I should have this huge ball gown on that I was holding up and like, just floating down the stairs. It's just this amazing staircase. And it just, I don't know. It was
amazing. You mean that staircase from a Scottish castle?
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing that we do have to make sure people remember, in case you forgot, is that the inside is technically older than the outside by a couple hundred years. And the inside, I mean, the place, the Pillsbury Club, was constructed between 1912 and 1914, but they imported most of the interior because that was the thing that they were doing at the time. Money in the UK is what you had, old money at that point, because they weren't bringing in new money. It was all based on the aristocracy, and that wasn't generating anything new. So they ended up having to sell a lot of these manor houses and castles ended up having to sell their interior to be able to bring in new money, or else their kids are marrying like daughters of U.S. industry, stuff like that. So that's why you have that. And once again, I have to say before we go any further, the place that I used to work at started in that Pillsbury Club, Carmichael Lynch, which kind of blows me away. Now, before we get back to Char, the story actually begins a little bit earlier at the station because Adam has stuff set up as he always does. And it's not just for Halloween nights, but much more so prominent on Halloween, because especially going back to, 2023, when we're at the Grand Garage, there's that great moment that Char asked for a device to go off at the station, and it did. So, which was pretty incredible. So, Adam, you were getting stuff ready well before we even started broadcasting.
Yeah, so that Friday night, when we wrapped up the afternoon shows here, we were about to head into the evening shows, and the evening show was completely pre-recorded, the one that ran from 5 to 6. So it's like, great, I can get everything set up early. So I had VIP on one side of the room, I had a digital recorder, and my REM pod over here to my right, sitting here on the little ledge. So nothing's happening, and I believe it was about 5:19, 5:20 in the evening. I eat a little bit of dinner, go upstairs, go to the restroom. As I'm exiting the restroom, I hear this strange beeping noise coming from downstairs. And my first thought is, what the hell is going on downstairs? Then it's like, oh, I set my REMs up. I come flying down the steps, and as soon as I get back into the studio, the REM pod over here shuts up. Maybe 10 minutes later, if that, I'm sitting here at the board waiting for the cameras to pop up, see if we have connection. REM pod starts going off again. I start asking some questions. I'm, if you are here, can you make the other one go off? The VIP starts going off. It's like, excellent. I ask a few other questions. I quit getting communication. I thank them for their time. Mm-hmm. Probably about 15 minutes before we go on air, they both start going off again. One and then another, and then this one, and then this one. Back and forth, back and forth. I ask them, can you do that during the show? They both calm down. We get into the show, nothing's going on. But as we get into that close to the end of the first hour, I take a glance over here, and I have a digital recorder set up next to the REM pod. Digital recorder has an orange light on it when it's on. It was off. You physically have to press a button to turn that thing off, and then you have to slide something on the side for it to be completely shut off. It was completely shut off. It was completely slid up, and the stop button had been hit because I still had 8 hours worth of time on that digital recorder before it would shut off automatically.
It still had power.
Yep, still had power. Batteries were fresh. The batteries I had put in right before I turned it on. Same with the REM pods. Fresh batteries in both. And
I have to point out the VIP REM pod was built by Johnny Vortex. And Johnny actually got in touch with me this week, funny enough. And I didn't have a chance to get back to him. But he built that REM pod so it could, and not that you were doing it, not that I'm going to do it, so it could fall downstairs and stuff. It's built to kind of last through a paranormal investigation. So if like I had it in my red wagon when it was tipped over, then it would have been okay. But that's another story for another day. So that and so what and can you refresh my memory? What was the other REM pod that you had out there?
The other REM pod was one that I had picked up from listener of ours, Brad Webb. And that was the other REM pod that I had going in here as well. So basically I had 2 homemade REM pods.
Now, is that the one that has the AM 950 logo on it?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering what happened to that. Okay, cool. I was happy to hear. I'm happy to hear both of them go off because that's always the thing that I Not that I don't believe that these gifted people can make this great, equipment, but sometimes it's like you don't know until they actually go off.
Yeah, that is very true.
And the VIP one too, it's you picked it up. It's a very solid piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, it's designed perfectly for walking around dark buildings.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. No. So we have you starting up, and I remember because you know how it is. Like when you're getting close to the beginning of a show, especially one that we have that's rather complex, things start going wrong. And so on the Pillsbury Club end, things start going wrong, not in a horrible way, but in enough way that it's like, always wonder, are we going to hit air on time, or are you just going to have to start us off or whatever else? And I remember like being in the thick of it, and we're getting these texts from you of like, oh my God, you got to check this out. And you're just like talking about everything. And I'm not responding only because we're still trying to, figure stuff out. But at the same time, it's like, wow, it's really happening. And we are, getting ready here to start our investigation of the club itself. So I think this is a good time to take our first break, because what I want to do is when we come back, I want to talk about, we talked about what was going on with the station at the station. Now I want to talk about, when we get back, what Char and Liz were doing, where we set up equipment and what was happening for them upstairs. There's a lot to get through. If you have any questions or thoughts, put them in the comments. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to the AndersonHouseHotel.com. We've been talking a lot about the Pillsbury Club, that is the new home to the Minneapolis Trolley Tours, and I think this is a great time to remind folks, if you have not done so, or if it's been a while since you've done so, you really do have to check out the Minneapolis Trolley Tours, especially now as we're getting into the holiday season. There is a tour that they do that is Christmas lights. And, this is the time of year. This is a great place. They stop at a lot of locations so you can get pictures and stuff. If you go early enough, it might be a kind of a cool place and a cool way to get photos for your family holiday cards or stuff like that. It's a really cool thing to do. Of course, they do the candlelight ghost tours. They do the Gilded Age tours, mansion tours, and they do true crime as well. They also do a great weekend trip that's just about the history of Minneapolis. If you haven't done so, please check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com. And if you have done so, please go again, because this is really a wonderful institution put on by some people who love our history and have really come up with a very high quality way to share out the locations and stuff. And if you go, please make sure that you let them know that you heard about it either through AM 950 or GhostBox Radio, because all we want to do is show our friends and partners that we're supporting them. We are talking tonight about our Halloween investigation of the Pillsbury Club. This happened on our Halloween broadcast. It was pretty incredible. And we want to talk a little bit more about that. And where we left off is that we were talking about some of the stuff that was happening at the station prior to even going on the air. Meanwhile, Char and Liz, they're setting up different pieces of equipment, a lot of we're setting up night vision cameras and stuff. If you haven't seen this broadcast, I recommend you go seek it out, the video version. It was pretty cool, all the rooms that we had cameras on and stuff. What did you, because we were kind of, Char, working together a little bit on trying to figure out where equipment went and stuff. Was that were you pretty sure fairly quickly where to put some of the stuff, especially on that third level?
The third level for sure. That was an easy one to pick, the hallway and then the big ballroom, I guess you could call it. That's what I'm gonna claim it as. That was pretty easy. I think the second floor was a little bit, I was kind of divided between two spaces that we had picked, and so I wasn't sure which one would work out, but I think we picked the one we did because of the noise level from downstairs. The other space would have been too loud.
And I also think because it also had chairs.
And it had chairs. Right?
I mean, honestly, that's one of those things that, it's like, because it was going to be kind of a nice way to sit around, but it kind of sounds like after the fact, after we kind of did the investigation, maybe you wouldn't have put equipment in that room.
We didn't get a lot in there, and for that part of it, we didn't get a lot of it, but for the other part of it, the Wi-Fi wasn't very good either. So it was kind of like a dual purpose of this didn't quite fit, although it was a great place to be in. It just didn't quite pan out on either end on that part.
So why don't we walk through, you and Liz are up on the third level. We have cameras on the long hallway that goes across. You call it the ballroom, and folks, this is one of those truly hidden gems in this mansion, because just as you're going through all these rooms, they're very ornate, they're beautiful. You get up to the third floor, and Chad was up there showing us just a couple days before this. Suddenly there's this big open space that has an atrium like glass roof to it. You just don't expect to see that in there. Can you walk through with us, Char, a little bit about the investigation and what was really sticking out to you in those areas on the third level?
Well, when we first wanted to put the camera down the hallway, I kept seeing with my third eye a lady at the end of the hallway. And I'm like, she's pacing back and forth. So I thought, well, maybe we'll catch something there. But for some, there's a purpose as to why I'm being drawn to look down this hallway. So that's why we positioned the camera there. In the ballroom area we had been told that a worker refused to go back in there because something had happened. I don't know if we ever heard exactly what happened, and it just seemed like a good space. And there was a room in the back that kind of had a little bit of a feel to it. They're like, oh, what's going on back there? So it felt like a good space to be in. So the ballroom, it had 4 4 offset rooms that you could go into just off of the main area. So it had a lot of space to it. So it just seemed like a great wide open space to be in. And with the activity that had been told to us. So, and then the feeling of being in there, just kind of like that whole 3rd floor kind of has a whole different vibe to it
than anywhere else, right?
Yeah, it was really interesting. It wasn't bad or anything, but you could just tell that there was some activity and that somebody else was there with you.
It felt very upstairs, downstairs, Downton Abbey sort of energy to it. And then, so you have that long hallway, and then you have the doorway that would go into the big room. But there's also before that, and maybe I'm getting a little off here, there's that dark hallway that led to another room. And I know like Liz spent time in there, and as well as I believe you did. What was that like?
Well, I went back there just once, and then I made Liz go back there the rest of the time. I don't know. It didn't feel
the Aaron Goodwin of our little group here.
I know. It wasn't like it felt bad. It just didn't feel comfortable. Like I wanted to be in there, and Liz volunteered, so I was like, "Great, go!" Because
this doesn't feel comfortable. Liz, why don't you go back there for a while?
Right. So no, but it was fine. It felt fine. It wasn't bad, but I just felt like, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time in here. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it was pretty pitch black in there. I mean, even during daylight, it's going to be pitch black in there. There was no lights in there whatsoever. That part.
It kind of felt like when you went down the hallway. The hallway itself was probably like 12 feet long, and then it felt like it just kind of like disconnected. Like all of a sudden, it wasn't that house anymore. Like it just. You went somewhere else. I don't know how else to explain it than that. It just seemed like you just went somewhere else when you went down that hallway. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to remember the one thing that really sticks out to me, and I know that so much more stuck out to you. Big Bang. Big Bang.
Oh.
Was that in the hallway? Yeah. Was that in the hallway that you heard it, or were you in the ballroom at that point?
No, we were sitting in the hallway. Well, Liz was in that back room that I didn't want to go in. I was in the hallway. And the bang came from inside the ballroom, which is just off the hallways that we were in. But the tripwire that was in the hallway in front of me went off like down the line, and then there was the bang, and you could feel like a cold breeze come through. So it was almost like somebody whisked past me and then banged something in the ballroom. I took off, went into the ballroom to see what was going on, and the ballroom is very echoey because it's very empty and very high ceilings. So I could hear like a voice, I could hear some shuffling, I could hear like slight knocking. And with all the little offshut rooms, I couldn't tell where it was coming from. So there's a point where I'm just standing there and I'm like, turning around this way and that way, trying to figure it out. Like, I can't tell where it's coming from because it's echoing. It feels like it's on the right, but it might be on the left. It was really hard to tell, but there was some activity going on in it there at the time, but nothing super definite that I could go, that's exactly over there. It just was kind of swirling. And I think that's more because of the echoing.
And just as a reiteration for folks that are listening and haven't been able to be in the mansion, there is zero sound contamination from the main level. It's actually incredible, because there is quite a bit. If you listen to my part in the broadcast, you're going to hear music in the background, people talking and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised if people are like, well, it's going to be a contaminated investigation. That was my first concern. But then when we went up there, even most of the second floor, but especially the third floor, not a thing at all.
No, it's pretty closed off because you have to take an elevator to get up there for one. And the staircase has a really big, heavy fire door. So it's really shut off and there is no noise up there. So it was pretty quiet. It was impressive how quiet it was up on the third floor.
I remember, I think all of us, I don't know about you, Adam. I know I kind of gave a little jump when I heard that slam. That was.
I did too. My first thing was to keep my finger on the dump button in case one of you guys went, "What the is that?" So that was my first instinct, but it spooked me over here. It made me jump in my chair when I heard that.
It was loud. It was loud.
I mean, it was loud on the broadcast, so I can only imagine what it was there. I just thought to myself, I'm glad it's not me up there. But I mean, and because I didn't expect that kind of a jump scare during the investigation at all. I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't really expecting that. One of the things too I want to talk about, which I really find so fun actually, is there's a point in the video, and I remember Adam and I watching it, and if you're not watching closely, you might think that it looks like that something is bothering you in the ballroom, but it's in fact the absolute opposite, that you're having the time of your life up there. It was like there's some amazing things happening up there.
Mm-hmm. It was like all of a sudden everything just started like going, and I was so excited. I was jumping up and down. I couldn't help it. I was like, here we go. This is it. This is it. So what happened was it was me and Liz in there, and we heard like a gentleman's voice, like, this like clearing throat thing. Yeah. And I looked at her and I'm like, did you hear that? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, it was a guy. She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, where'd it come from? There's nobody up here. It's just us. She's like, I think it was in the hallway, which then was the door, the fire door that has the stairs. I walked over, pulled it open, and I sat there for like maybe 30 seconds or more, listening to see if I could hear anybody. Was there somebody on the second floor? Was somebody coming up the stairs, going down the stairs? I wanted to hear any sound whatsoever, and I heard absolutely nothing. But then what happened as I had the door open, apparently on camera, because I heard you guys through the earbuds say a giant orb came out of the door when I opened it, went around the room and went to the back room where we had the REM pod, and all of a sudden the REM pod's going off, which hadn't gone off all night. So we were like, oh, the REM pod, what the heck? So we went over to the REM pod, started asking questions, and it was reacting. But before we got over there, this gust of cold air came through me and Liz, like somebody had opened a freezer door. It was so cold. And you could literally feel the energy in the room just shift. It got super electric and staticky and everything. And we're like, and that's when I got super excited, because I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Here we go. It's happening. So
it's very cool. It's very exciting. Where do you think, because I feel like there's a lot of time periods that this energy could come from. What are your thoughts about? Because there's so many layers to this place. Yeah. Where do you think a lot of this was coming from?
It seemed like it was coming from everywhere. It was a lot of layers of things happening. Yeah. So we were getting a lot of we got medieval come through. I don't know how many times.
Right.
We got the 1800s and 1870 specific dates. We got Victorian. I mean, we had a lot of references to different time periods. And there was that one time, the very first thing that happened in that room was turned on the spirit talker. And the first thing it says is it's Char. And I'm like, oh, yes, it is. Wow. And then all of a sudden I felt something come up behind me and touch the back of my head. And so I didn't want to lead Liz on anything. And I just said, is there something going on behind me? And she's like, there's this crazy energy aura behind me. I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. And then it comes through and it says, I'm right behind you. And it was a male voice, the same male voice both times. And I was like, yep, I know you're right behind me. And I think that's when you had Wade on, correct?
Yep. So earlier on. Yep.
Yeah. So he started talking about a male spirit that he was picking up on being up there. And so we kind of connected to the same person, and we had the same view of it. Didn't feel threatening, whatever. It was just a guy, whatever. And he had asked if I could get a year, and I had asked, and it took a little bit, but I got 1970. That actually came through the box.
Yep.
And what it did, I don't know the history of the place whatsoever, so I didn't know what to do with that. But by the time we came down, Liz had talked to Norman's mom and said the 1970, and she said up in that space in 1970s it was a Seminole for boys. So it may have been picking up somebody from that time period, which was really super cool to get that connection.
Something that I didn't really think about until you brought it up, because when you and Liz were up there originally, and we had Wade on the program at that point, and I was very happy that he took part in watching, and it was very kind of him. We saw a lot of orb activity, what I believe was orb activity, and I know that that's contentious amongst a lot of people. But after the fact, and Adam, maybe you did see something more. After you were done with that initial time upstairs, I don't recall seeing any more orbs up there, to be honest. Adam, did you?
The next set of orbs that actually showed up didn't come for another couple of hours later, when her and Liz were back up there by themselves shortly before you went upstairs.
Okay.
Basically, what I was seeing on the video, the orbs followed Char and Liz around, because that was really the only activity we got on the second floor. Char and Liz would be in that circle of chairs that our intern Chad had set up, and when it almost seems like when they would hit on something pertinent, we'd get weird flashes of light. And I'm not talking like, a little dust particle going across the screen.
Yeah.
These would some of them look like lightning strikes. They were just long, crooked, white flashes of light. But it seemed to follow Char and Liz around for the vast majority of the time. The only time that it really didn't was at one point during the commercial break. We left the camera up on the hallway of the second floor with the creepy small door. And nobody's up there at that point, but you see like 3 or 4 different orbs. A couple of them shoot from the left, make a turn, and head towards that staircase. Another couple look like they come out from around that small door and head across the hall, but they're all jumping up and down. They're not just floating across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you wouldn't, Adam, would you say that those seem like orbs more than dust?
Yeah, there's one section when I was going back and reviewing where I just flat out called dust. And it was one of the times everybody was kind of leaving that hallway, and I think a door shut, and you just saw a bunch of like white powdery things fall down. That I threw out. It could have been something, but everything was kind of uniform on that fall, so I tossed that one out.
Yeah. No, that
and
makes sense.
We did have too, when we were second section, we were up in that room, what we saw flashing lights, like somebody had taken a picture, and we saw that like 2 or 3 times, and it was like, where is that coming from? There's nothing in here that should be doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that too, until Greg told me there was just a REM pod in that one room.
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought he had I thought you guys had something else that would be flashing in there. And he's like, no, there's just the REM pod in that room. It's like, okay, but it's not going off, but we're getting flashes. Okay, that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really, really interesting. Why don't we go ahead and do this? I want to get the second break in here. When we come back, I'm obviously going to keep talking about this, and Char and Adam, think about stuff that we're not talking about, so we make sure that we get it in before the end of the program. Folks, if you have questions, go ahead and put in the comments. We'd love to talk with you about it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to the AndersonHouseHotel.com.
Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Mavericks has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had, made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Mavericks Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to do a replay of an episode. I haven't picked which one yet, but I think we're going to try to do another JFK. We had Paul Blake Smith on a year ago, and he did a fantastic overview about the conspiracy. And as we're getting so close, I would like to do another run of that. And then, of course, Friday, it's Casual Friday, isn't it? And we're going to be talking about all sorts of things. Now, Char, before we get back into it, you got something coming up on the 6th and 7th, don't you?
I do. It's another Charvinity Psychic and Healing Fair over at the Doubletree by Hilton, Minneapolis Airport, 2020 American Boulevard. Both Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's about 20 plus psychic mediums, healers, tarot card readers, oracle card readers that are going to be there, along with Maria Shaw. She's going to do her predictions for 2026. You don't want to miss that. That's super popular. Also her crossing over gallery. So that's always a highlight. We've got lots of really cool things planned for this one, so I'm super excited. I just updated the website today, so www.charvinityfairs.com, and it's also on Facebook.
There we are. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be out there. It's going to be good as always, and I'm really looking forward to that. Now, we're talking about the investigation of the Pillsbury Club from Halloween, our 4-hour live broadcast. You know, like I said at the top of the program, Char, when I saw you last week, you're just like, I'm still buzzing over that investigation. Why is that? I'm just curious. What was it that makes it stick with you?
I think it was just so fascinating with all the layers of all the different time periods. The spirits were kind of really intrigued, like they weren't really sure, like, what's happening. You could talk to us. Like, they were kind of new to it. Nobody else had investigated there before, so they were kind of excited. I pulled up the log on the information that we got, and as we were leaving towards the very end, it said, over here, do you feel me? You are connected. We like investigators. So it made me feel happy, like, oh, they had a good time with us too. I think there was just so much happening. It was just so phenomenal. And the building itself is just crazy amazing. But I think a couple things that we didn't tap on too was, at one point as we were leaving, it was a timestamp. Lisa came through, and I went and told Lisa, because she was going to go with us, but ended up not going. She had a timestamp of a text message she sent her daughter that her TV had gone on and she was hearing voices in the other room. That was literally within 5 minutes of us getting her name coming through. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah. And then the other thing that was really amazing, at some point we're upstairs and we're getting the message over and over. Can you see me? We're here. Can you talk to us? Like, they were trying to get us to acknowledge them. And at the same time, downstairs on the printer, you got 2 pages printed out of I and C, like over and over. I see.
Yep.
And it printed a second page with not as many ICs. So it wasn't the exact same thing being printed. It was the same ICs, but not the same amount of ICs. But it was at the same time they were acknowledging or asking, can you see us? Can you see us?
And what I think is really interesting about that one too is that first of all, we had no idea what's going on. We knew about the Spirit Talker, what it said there, but it was Norman coming in who did not know about the Spirit Talker with them, because he saw it on the printer and he's just like, check this out, and we were all like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. Really, really cool stuff. And you bring up something that we did gloss over, which is extremely important to this story, is that we're the first people to investigate there.
Yeah. What an honor.
It's an honor. And also you got to wonder how much that plays into spirit interaction. You and I have known, been to many places where we've been the first to investigate, and sometimes you'll get not a lot or quite a bit. And, it's just, you got to wonder, especially with possible, like a great deal of age to the interiors, that they've been waiting for someone like you and Liz to get in there and to be able to just communicate however they can.
Yeah, there was definitely, we could tell we were getting interactions from different time periods and things. And it was really interesting. And the one thing that I didn't do a lot of, and I held back from, was touching things. And it sounds really weird, but I felt like if I could touch things, I was going to get a lot more energy off of things. But I also was like, I needed to focus on what we were doing at the moment. And because it's not very exciting to sit there and watch me touch a wall for minutes on ends without saying anything. So I really want to go back and start touching like those fireplaces and things like that, because even just coming down the staircase, feeling the railing, I was getting energy off of that. And so there was a lot. It was just so many layers. It was just so exciting. And as a medium, it was just like, I felt like I was at a fair. It was just like so exciting. It was so thrilling. All the different things that were happening,
and a safe one at that. I mean,
absolutely.
Everything was so safe. I find it ironic, actually, that the Wednesday before, when we did the show live from the mansion before the Halloween thing, Adam was like, tell Char to make sure that she brings her dowsing rods, which is something that you do. You're known for doing that. Friday comes, you and because it just happens, you forget them.
Yeah.
You reach out to Liz. Liz is already, she can't get back to bring hers. Liz reaches out to me. You and I talk about it. Can you find your dowsing rods to bring so that Char can have them? Absolutely. Never happened. It just fell through like 3 layers of it not happening. And I don't think it means anything. I just find it very interesting, of all things. But yet, it didn't matter because it was such a fruitful evening.
Yeah, I think it was on purpose. Like, you don't need these. You're not going to need them. So nobody was remembering to bring them. But yeah, it was so much fun, but it was such good energy. Like, I didn't feel anything negative. I didn't feel anything heavy. It just was very curious and playful, but so layered on top of it. It was just, I don't know. I want to go back. I want to go sleep on the 3rd floor. That's what I want to do.
Right now, how much do you think what was happening on the 1st level, how much do you think affected the overall mood upstairs? Because it was a very, on the main level, it was very kind of a joyful, fun time.
Yeah, it may have helped kind of bring the vibe up, like kind of like help them have some energy, because there was a lot of high vibe energy going on downstairs. It might have helped ramp up everything else. And it's just like us as humans, we get around a bunch of people that are super excited and happy. Our energy vibration goes up. It could have been helping with that. It just having fun, seeing, I think some of it was they were happy to see the building come alive and like all these people enjoying it and in awe. Like, how many people were standing there staring at the ceiling and the chandeliers and admiring it,
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Now, Adam, meanwhile, at the station, all this is going on. Are we missing anything that was going on at the station that was worth telling about?
The only other thing that was odd that happened here at the station was on my recorder, I was still catching that low murmuring, but I still couldn't tell if it was from within the room or just from when I had, the monitors on here. So that one was still tough to tell, kind of like going back and watching and listening to it again. There were several murmurs that I heard, but I couldn't place if they were within the room with you guys other than like one or two. And for what was downstairs, because there is the 3 hour, 7 minute and 40-second mark of the YouTube video where you, Liz, and Char are about to go back into that third floor ballroom. Your first time up there.
Yeah.
Just as you guys are about to go in, cameras on, you guys aren't up there yet. I'm trying to fill for time. There is the sound of what could be like an exhale close to the camera with possibly a word in there that I just could not make out. To me, that was the coolest part, because we were transitioning from you guys going from the first to the third floor, and it's like they knew.
Yeah.
Well, and it was like someone was like, they're coming, or, it's like, there's a...
Well, you got to wonder if it's like, they're bringing him, because honestly, activity just died when I got up there. I mean, it really did. I mean, and that happens on occasion. It's because you and Liz were having so much success up there. And really, in hindsight, I shouldn't have gone up there, because when we're doing these big things, my mind is somewhere else. It's not on investigating, no matter how much I want to do it. It's just, and the first thing that we always say to people who want to investigate is you got to make sure your mind is in it. So you got to wonder that, but also maybe, as Adam had pointed out, we were talking about this earlier, maybe whatever's up there didn't really want male spirit up or male presence up there, but liked having more female presence up there. I don't know.
Well, it would make sense if it was back in the 1970s, if it was a boys' seminary, it was filled with boys or men or whatever, and that's who we had connected to, that we know somewhat. So if that was the case, yeah, I could see where they're like, oh, great, here comes a guy.
Absolutely. In the comments, Joshua asks, is that associated with the Pillsbury company? 100% it is. It was owned by Charles Pillsbury, who ran Pillsbury. One of the more tragic parts about this, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase this for time and other reasons, is that he got known for being on the Titanic and not following the women and children first rule, and kind of forced himself into a situation where he could get off the ship relatively easy. That information got back to Minneapolis, and that didn't go well for him, nor the fact that he ended up getting very ill, and I think he passed away within a year from getting back to the Twin Cities. It was a relatively short amount of time, if I'm not mistaken, but it was his house. It was his mansion. So it just, it's, and that's the thing. And that's, I didn't know about any of this until I went on to the Minneapolis Trolley Tours, and did the Candlelight Ghost Light. That's where you learn this stuff. Right. It's pretty incredible. So one of the things that we should kind of, talk about too, is that we are going to, we're going to be back. We're going to go back there. Mm-hmm. We're going to, we might do another televised. We won't do it like part of the radio show, I don't think, but we're going to do certainly, like, because I mean sooner than later, do like set up and do a camera and do investigations and have, Adam and you, and if Liz wants to, but we need to get AJ and Lisa and Austin out there and just do an investigation and really be able to have a really interesting time to see, especially also maybe even break it up by women and men, at least for a little bit, and see if that makes a difference in how spirit responds, at least for part of it. I don't know. Could be fun.
No, I think it'd be a great time. I think it would be think it'd be interesting to go back for sure. And I want to say too that I don't think we made any contact with Pillsbury or the Pillsbury family.
No,
just
and
so that's clear.
And that's a very good thing to remind us all. Yeah, because I mean, and the reason why I didn't say anything because it never crossed my mind that and nor was anyone trying, if I'm not mistaken.
No, we were leaving it wide open for whoever was there and wanted to talk, which I think is the best thing to do. And does that mean that they're not there? No, it just means they weren't there that night or they didn't want to talk about it. And I guess if that's the story that went through, he might not be wanting to talk to anybody.
No, that's my first instinct as well, is that, but there's just, I mean, there's so much going on in there. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And for all we know, he might be trying to, and it's just being drowned out by so many other things going on in there as well. And Adam, you up for coming out and investigating the Pillsbury Club?
Oh, I would love to get out there. Seeing it from a distance for 2 nights, it makes me want to get out there so much more.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And I'll talk to John and Norman. Maybe we can do something in January or something like that, because December is kind of they have stuff going on in December. There's like holidays and stuff. So unless we get in between Christmas and New Year's. Just saying. I'm just saying. That's all there is to it, folks. We got to already wrap up. We could probably keep talking about this, but I think it's a good overview of what happened on Halloween. And if you haven't had a chance, please go and check out the episode, the visual episode. You find it on YouTube on my page at MN GhostBox Official. How incredible. Char, thank you so very much for spending the time with us and going through this again. It was great.
Oh, thank you for letting me be a part of the whole thing. And it was so much fun. Thank you for letting me talk about it.
Absolutely. And Adam, it was great to get your point of view as well. And we'll be doing Casual Friday. We can talk more about it as well. Folks, we got to wrap up here. We'll be back with the live show on Friday. Everyone, take care.
Come see the